so why should you consider having a life coach in 2026? For starters, the first reason is for clarity on goals and direction. For an example, if you find yourself being stuck or being stagnant or not really moving, it's the end of 2025, you look back at your year, you look back at last year, you look back at 23, 22, 21. Nothing is changing, nothing has moved, no needle has really moved much. You're still in the same job, same role, same office, same everything. You're even maybe even wearing the same clothes, who knows? But there is just this stagnation that you feel in your gut that is not necessarily great, but you don't know how to go about it. You don't know why you're stuck. You don't know why. Because not progress, like your career is not progressing. You are not doing anything new. Your life is not really moving. Your social group is the same. You still post the same old things on Facebook. You still watch the same TikTok videos. You're still nothing. And it bugs you. If it doesn't bug you, no problem. But you know that something is off. There's a stagnation, there's a stagnance that you don't know what to do with. A life coach is going to be brilliant for such things. And a therapist probably, or a counselor. And for an example, if someone comes to me with that case, especially a case of deep stagnation, I always try and see if there is something underneath, if there's a depression right there, if, a clinical psychologist can help. And I always try and ask them to please just check in with a clinical psychologist, because as a life coach, I cannot diagnose, but I don't want to work with someone who has a clinical issue while I'm not. There are two or three videos where I was explaining the difference between therapy, clinical psychology, counseling, and life coaching. You can scroll down and see them, but I've put some posters of those videos here for you. But yes, stagnation, if you feel like you're stuck, you're stagnant, and it really starting to bug you, please consider reaching out to a life coach. It does not have to be me. It does not have to be long term. It can just be a few sessions, or you just ask for one session or two just to see if there is something there they can help you with. Life coaches are brilliant at keeping people moving, at dislodging them from a sense of stuckness. So that's one. Two, you want to consider a coach in 2026 to help you with accountability and some form of momentum. So in this case, you're not necessarily stuck, but you are sort of inconsistent about certain things. You start things, you stop, you procrastinate, you start a YouTube channel, and then within a few videos, you lose steam. You start something else, you lose steam. Something is off. You are not consistent. You are not building anything. A life coach will help you with accountability. They will help you stick to the plan. They will help you develop some discipline muscle. They will also help you understand the underlying issues that make you inconsistent, that make you procrastinate, that make you stop, start. Some issues might be there, some wounding might be there, because whether we like it or not, guys, we always go to mommy and daddy. We always go to childhood. As you know, I'm very big on that. I've also done 2 videos on inner child and inner teen. You might want to check those out as well. But yes, a life coach is a great accountability partner, because a life coach is not your friend. So, and they'll give you some homework, they'll give you some journal prompts, you'll have sessions that you need to sort of keep up with the work, so that you can gain momentum and stick to the plan and finish that book that you said you'll write, and finish that project that you said you'll do, and write that exam and register for that course, or whatever it is that you want to do. So a life coach helps you with that. So that's 2. The third reason you want to consider a life coach in 2026 is if you're struggling with confidence, visibility, self-esteem, self-worth, and all the things that are about you, about your self-worth, your sense of who you are, your sense of confidence, which is probably stopping you from applying for that promotion, going for that girl, doing the things that, make you visible because you have confidence issues. Life coaches are brilliant at helping with those things. We have tons and tons of tools to help you along. We have a lot in our toolboxes to help you actually get your confidence going, to get your self-esteem, to have a sense of self-worth, to have a great sense of I said what I said. So you want to consider a life coach for that. They will also help you, if that confidence issue is something deeper, they can help you with limiting beliefs. Maybe you believe certain things about you, maybe the way you look, your skin color, your hair, the way you are shaped. those things, they help you deep with those things. And I know for a fact, whenever it comes to self-esteem, confidence, self-worth, it's usually the inner teen issues. When we dig deep and we find out where did this thing start, where is the impetus of your lack of confidence, we often always find that it happened in the inner teens. Okay, so that's 3. 4, you want to consider a life coach in 2026 if you struggle with decision making, if you are unable to make a choice, if you can't decide, if you go with the flow, if you are terrified of choosing something because you think you might have chosen wrong, or you can't take a decision because you're scared of responsibility or accountability or anything like that, if you are an overthinker, if you struggle with analysis or paralysis of analysis, a life coach can help you brilliantly with that. We will get to the bottom of why you are like this, why indecision, why is indecision a comfort zone for you, what happened, why you're afraid of tabang, so you find that back in your life, you took a decision one day when you were young and it got you in trouble. We deal with that if that's the problem. So going to childhood, teenhood, and earlier times, those we always go there. All of us do. Therapists do, counselors do, life coaches do. What life coaches don't do is diagnose and deal with people who have deep, deep mental health issues or deep, deep trauma. Like I said in one of the videos, please go and watch those videos on what is a coach, what is a therapist, and what is counseling. Okay. The 4th, is it 4 or 5? I think it's the 5. The 5th reason why you want to consider a life coach next year is if you struggle with overwhelm and stress management. I know for a fact that this year was intense for a lot of us. This year was overwhelming, even for me. And I have a coach, so I have a place where I offload, where I cry, where I get to be held, get to be given tools, get to be given meditations and breath works and journaling and affirmations so that I can deal with stress. Obviously, when I deal with someone with intense stress, I do that with a clinician. If it's deeper stuff, there is a therapist involved. But these are one of the things that I personally, as a coach, am very good at, helping people deal with overwhelming emotions or overwhelming stress, how to cope with that. I am really good at holding space for that. And usually these are people who are like kind of senior, who have really stressful jobs and high pressured positions in leadership, where they're also looking after people. I'll give you an example. I have a client who works in the city of Joburg, in Masipala, actually. Very senior position there. And in one of the sessions we had before I went on a retreat, she said that, she was showing me her calendar and she's like, Lebs, in 1 week, if I have 18 meetings or less, it is a slow week. And mind you, this is just meetings, right? It's over and above her duties, the job that she has to do, her day-to-day or her week-to-week. And those meetings also come with action items, with tasks. It's a nightmare. And so someone like that, you really, really need a coach to help you stay calm, put boundaries, know what to take on, know when not to take it on, know when to say no, know when to cut down, know how to delegate. It can be quite intense. So if you find yourself stressed out, constantly overwhelmed, consider a life coach in 2026 because things are going to get worse. Things are going to get more chaotic. I always talk about AI, with AI taking our job. But things are going to get a little bit more chaotic, and you really want to have support. You want to have a coach. 6, 7, I think reason number 6 why you want to consider a life coach in 2026 is if you are struggling with work-life balance, where you become a bad parent because you are too focused on work, or where your work is sluggish because you're just exhausted. Yeah, all that, which is in line with the last one. If you think about it, they go hand in hand. If you're stressed out and overwhelmed, chances are you also struggle with work-life balance, and a life coach can help you brilliantly with such things. Also a therapist, guys, also a counselor, but a life coach is better geared for that, for those kind of things, because we have lots and lots of tools. The 7th reason why you want to consider a life coach in 2026 is if you are, how do I put this? If you know that over and above your career, yes, you might be earning well, doing well, but you know that there's more that you can do. You know that you can give more. You know that you have untapped potential. A life coach can help you deal with it, tap into that, and tap into that creativity, tap into that potential. Maybe you might feel like you are underutilized at your work. Not that you hate your job, not that you want to leave your job, but there is something else that you should be using your energies for. A life coach can help you unlock that. A few years ago, or was it last year, 2023, I had a client who was in the same situation, senior position, doing well at work, managing her time, work balance, but she found that there's something missing. There is something about her life that is empty, saying that, I can't be watching Netflix all weekend or scrolling social media or going to a restaurant and then going to church. And, there has to be more. And I help her discover that actually she wants to work with children. She wants to be part of libraries in rural areas where she helps read. She reads for children at school, at libraries, community leaders, and she's helping build a local library at her village somewhere in Northwest. So it's a project that she's taken up and she's doing pretty well with it. So much so that it might take over her job. So she's even thinking of starting an NGO along those things. So sometimes that's what's happening. There's a gap. There's a void. Yeah, I'm earning well. Yeah, I'm happy. Yeah, but John does not stress me so much. I don't really hate this job, but something is missing. Something is missing. Life coach will help you brilliantly with that. Reason 8 why you might consider a life coach in 2026 is if you are in transition, you need support during changes, life changes. You're going through a divorce. Yes, you might also need counseling with this one as well. Definitely a counselor, probably more than a life coach. But if you have a brilliant, very senior, very old, as in, someone has been in the game for a while, life coach who knows how to counsel, you might want to do that if you're going through a divorce, if you have just been retrenched, or if you've just resigned from a job that you've been at for years and years and years, because it's not easy. Just because you chose to resign, it's not easy to just start a new life, So a life coach can help you along, finding how to utilize your time, how to find new routines, how to rest. Sometimes you might not even be able to know how to rest. They become your sounding board and stuff like that. So life coaches are brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. I'm just looking at my notes here if you see me looking down. So supporting through transition. And then lastly, is it number 9 or number 10? Lastly, you want to consider a life coach or a coach in 2026 if you want overall personal growth. There is no one who can help you grow faster than having a life coach on your side. If you want to be a better partner, you want to be a better girlfriend, you want to be a better wife, better husband, better employee, better boss, better friend, if you want to put boundaries, if you want to be more supportive without being abused, if you want to tighten up some of those leaky spaces where you are a people pleaser, if you want to loosen up where you are too rigid, if you want to open up and be a little bit more generous, if you want to be more curious, more creative, you just want to grow as a human being. Life coaches can take you absolutely far. If you want to do something like write a book or start a big project, a life coach is your go-to for 2026. I know life coaches are, some people think I don't know if they look down on them, but they think it's a nice to have. Maybe it used to be a nice to have, but as we progress, the deeper we get into the late 2020s, closer to the 2030s, the more you're going to have to need a coach and a support system around your life, because it's going to be very chaotic. And I don't want to be, sound like a prophet of doom, but things are changing rapidly and you might not be able to cope with your ordinary ways of coping. Find a coach, particularly if you identify yourself in all the things that I've listed. Find a coach. Please do not think your friend group is going to help you with this. Your friends are just as overwhelmed. Your friends are just as clueless, unless if your friend is a coach, in which case, do you use her as a coach or do you use her as a friend? Because it's not fair. Don't go to your friend. If your friend is a coach, don't go to her. Find a neutral person. find a neutral coach so they can help you with these things. Yes, coaching can be quite pricey, but it's just one of those things where you budget for them. I always advise my wannabe clients, people who are like, yeah, I want to come for your coaching one day, to say, if money is a problem, here are my fees, make it budget, like the same way that you'd budget for a holiday or budget for something that you want to buy. Just put it on your budget, save, 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 save. When you have enough, you're like, okay, here, coaching, bam, and then we do work. And the results are phenomenal, especially when you're committing time, you are serious about it, you don't think it's a quick fix, you don't use your coach as just, bouncing advice that you want to take, then you'll see results. It's a beautiful, beautiful journey to work with a life coach, even if I say so myself. And the next video, I'll share with you how to choose a coach, how to spot a coach that is a better fit for you. So that's for the next video. For now, this is my story. I cannot wait to hear yours.